Hey, top of the morning to you. Roo here, giving folks just a few minutes to come on since I usually paint on Saturday mornings. Here it is Friday. They're going like, what? Did he lose his ever-loving mind? No, he's lost touch with his schedule. So gonna got a little story to paint for you this morning, and then I'm getting ready to head out of town for a few days. So I'll be on the road in the morning and in a place where I can't very well paint. I'm supposed to be on a retreat. So Jason, are you really live now? Yes, I'm really live now. So I threw a little note out there that said, see me Friday morning, because I just wanted to make some announcements, and also in the middle of painting something for someone that I've become acquainted to, who has answered a couple really important questions for me and then sent me the coolest gift bag. And I mentioned the other day, or gift box. So I just wanted to pop on and say hello. So Beverly Schmidt from Greenville, I know that's where you are. And Jason, you'll get a kick out of this story if you got a few minutes this morning. One of the guys that I'm going to talk about is a gentleman by the name of Robert. I'll mention his name a couple of times, and he lives in Laurel, Mississippi. And he is a casting, drafting, technology guy, and so that'll be kind of fun. So it'll be awesome. So Pat Lightbody, glad you're on the show. Dorothy Beasley from North Carolina, also. Jason up in Jason. I think if you every time I pull up behind, and 3 cars in the last 2 days from New Jersey here in North Carolina, and I hope they didn't think they were coming to North Carolina to get cooler weather, because it was 94 yesterday. I know that because, well, here's why. I was outside rebuilding my mailbox because someone decided to take it with them as they went down the road. And anyway, it has a steel post, so I'm sure it didn't do their car a whole lot of good. So, but I put a bigger box on it. I did that for Roodoodles because I'm shipping out bigger things these days. Well, it's always crazy to ship out a 9x11 or 9x12 piece, and it doesn't fit in my mailbox. So I have to hang it on the mailbox post. And anyway, all right. So it sounds like, hey, these are little tiny problems. It doesn't matter that much. So a few of you are jumping on. Let me tell you what we're going to do today. I'm going to paint a picture. This camera is, since there's nothing here to focus on, it's not holding its focus. So I'll lay that pen there. But let me just say hello to you right here. Boom. I'm there in person. Oh my gosh. Long hair and all. Got a little sun on my face. It was a yard day for me yesterday. I cut the grass, I edged, I trimmed, and the funny thing about that is I do it all, and then I go out of town and I don't see it. I come back and I go, my yard's a wreck, so I have to do it again, and then I go out of town. But hey, I'm blessed to be traveling a little bit. We're going down to a retreat today, something that we helped start 30-something years ago for some couples, and then we're dropping in to say hi to a friend that we kind of help along the way in ways that we can. If we can, do something fun for her, take her to dinner, and then here we are. So I'm going to paint something this morning, and I will tell you about what's coming up on August 5th. And yes, I had set aside the 29th about 3 weeks ago, thinking that is going to be absolutely perfect for a day with Rue, a workshop. 10 to 12, take an hour for lunch. It'd be like Wizard of Oz, right? We get up at 12, go to work at 1. Sorry, all those dates. 10 to 12, take an hour for lunch, come back 1 to 3, and then from 3 to 3:30, just to wrap up with any questions you might have, or just fire them to me, and I'll take a few minutes and go through those, any even before lunch that are on your mind. But we'll sit for a bit, and we'll do Q&A, just see if I covered some things that are helpful, and see if, ouch, wow. That's a mess right there. See, I was welding yesterday. Let me do this. Hang on a second here. I interrupted myself, didn't I? But that's coming up on August 5th, and there's some information out there. Let's see. Is this it right here? Yeah, so this is my wedding ring. You know, I have kind of a square wedding ring. You see it's square on the outside. And I realized that yesterday welding, I had to bring my mailbox, the post, up to the house, and wow. Hang on just a second. I can't paint with this on here because it's going to cut my finger. Didn't notice it. This should have woken me up during the night. So I'll just get out my little file here. I'm doing a little wedding ring maintenance. Sometimes I have to get out my Leatherman. Wow. The steel, this metal is gold. Ah, there it is. and a little hot spark had come down and welded itself to my wedding band. Oh, it's so nice. And so when I put my fingers together like that, it's small. Okay. It's a third world thing, but it bothers me. Okay, so hey, let me say hello. I got down to Linda Schleitney, Chris Whitaker, Denise Albright, Lori Stanley, Handelmeyer Henderson, Gene Jimerson Anthalzer, and you guys have some, and Paula Lindy. It took me almost a year to say Lindy instead of Lind. The white shirt looks starched and not secondhand. No, it's just the camera, but it is it's got some white paint on it. This one is and I have ripped it severely. So I carry a bigger pocket knife when I'm out doing things, and it got caught on the clip on the pocket knife. And anyway, so let me tell you about where I am today. And I haven't been on in a while. Well, Stephen Dockery, you have not. Good to see you, my friend. Renee Keese, Tissy Chambers. Was just in Knox Vegas a few days visiting my son. Spent 20 hours with 3 grandsons. Oh, wait, it wasn't that many. It was more like 16. Who's counting? Altogether, probably brain power and picking up supplies and all that. We may have put in more than that, but we were building web shooters, Spider-Man web shooters. And so my question was, so when we get these things done, how far do they shoot? And they go, no, there's no shoot. It's just a non-working prop. Welcome to the movies, right? Which I know, but okay. All right. So here we go. So a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to throw this out. Hey, Jack Wolfenbarger, good to see you, my friend. Makes my day the way you say my name. What do you mean? Lori Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson? See, it goes back to an old 1960s Red Skelton sketch that there was a guy that always would come on, and his name was Stanley Handelmeyer. And but he went through a whole process, and he had another name too, and he was just a funny comic, and my dad and I used to laugh at him. And so when I see Stanley, I always think of Handelmeyer. So Lori Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson, and the fact that you have a Henderson after that, and I can't remember what his last name was, but it worked. Had a little builder's tea this morning, so let's go to it. But Tissy, I was in building in Knoxville for just a bit. All right, here we go. So here's what I wanted to do this morning, and I want to tell this story right off the bat. Parts of it anyway. It's going to be tied to several things. So the first thing I'm going to do is sketch a rooster on here, and I'm going to use a little bit of a pencil this morning. I know that's going to scare some of you, but because I'm going to send this out to someone, I want them to, let's see, do I want to turn this paper over? And maybe let that be a little, okay, let's just do this. All right. This is not on the paper, it's on the tape. I put some tape on this paper. And you know what I do when I put tape on the paper? I pull a piece of my art tape off. For those of you who don't know this trick, here's the trick. It's stuff that we'll talk about on the show. If you haven't been to it's not my new website, but I just upgraded some things. There's some information there. It's always been there about me. There's not any pictures of my art on my website really, because well, I don't do art like that. It's not like you can go to a gallery and find stuff. I just paint it and then sell it and get the heck out of here and hang on somebody else's wall. I just love creating it and art that connects. This story today is as connected as it gets, and I'm not kidding you. It's just crazy how this came around. And so I want to tell you a story about using your art as connection. And all this is a build up to part of my one-day workshop. I'm going to talk about, and if you haven't, and people, yes, people contact me, and you people, thank you for being on this show. You ask me a lot of time, what was that paint? What was that pen? And I try to keep you up on all the pens that I use. I was going through this with my granddaughter last night, and one of the places I'm leaving today is this afternoon. Thank you for all your support. She's still in the process of, she's raised her money. Today, she leaves for Argentina on that trip that we did that auction for way back then. So I've been helping her, guess what, put together a little art bag. And I just went ahead and gave her one of my Roo bags and said, put this in there on the plane. You've got this to do this, do this. If you want to journal in your journal, if you want to paint in your Bible, if you want to, wherever you want to paint. So she leaves today and then is off and running to Argentina. So it's really cool. And her parents and the other grandkids are arriving in Denver about right now, not on an airplane. They drove across the country. and they'll be out there for. So this is the first time in like 12 years she's missed a family vacation to say, I feel like I'm supposed to go to Argentina. So it's really cool when stuff like that happens. So this is the tape, and here's what I do with the tape. Can you see my sleeve there? I just put it on something like that across my jeans leg or across here. Don't put it across the hair in your arm. That just wouldn't do well. Put it here and just let it sit for a minute. Maybe take it off, lift it a little bit. And when you put that tape on your art paper, then it seals where you want to stop the border. But also after it's set there for a while, if you peel it up, it won't rip the surface off. So that's an old Joe Miller trick that he just teaches. Everybody's done it for probably the years. Noah did it when he was painting the logo on the ark. All right, so here we go. Thanks for praying for Lilybug. Did you get a chance to order more wheelbarrow books? I'm going to need another one from you. Yeah, but they won't be in for a bit until I get back. So I'll keep you posted on that. I'm ordering some more coloring books. You can't. Oh, you wanted it painted though, right? You can order that book anytime. It just won't be signed, and it won't have an original in the front. If you want to order Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, please do from Amazon, or Roodoodles, my coloring book, please do from Amazon, or if you want to order Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow from Amazon, you can. It'll just not come signed, and if you order it from me, yeah, it's a few extra bucks because I pick up the postage. I ship to me, then I ship to you. But I'm trying to get a dozen of them in here just to have, and I wish I had them now, but I don't. So I went on the road before I ordered them, Denise. So thank you, though. All right, here we go. So what I've done is I want to connect you to a story, but first I want to draw this rooster in pencil of a painting that's going out to a new acquaintance that we haven't met in person, but I'll tell you about how I know him here in just a second. His name is Robert, and here is the painting right here. It's just going to be a small little scene of a picture, Roo, that I think he can probably hang in his office or something like that. That'd be kind of fun if he did that, I think. Why did he draw that blockhead right there, I wonder? You're saying to yourself, what's the matter with that guy? And I'm sketching with a Murado Black Warrior. Okay, it's a dark pencil, so I'm sketching quite light because it doesn't erase as easy as some of the pencils you use, but I like it because it's round. It doesn't have the little carved edges that sometimes I'll press so hard and I'll have a groove in my finger. This is just a round pencil. A Murado Black Warrior, it's a number 2 HB, and I try to keep it kind of sharp, but sharpening with a pocket knife is a lot like, I don't know what it's like, but it's like something. His leg is up, of course, and I think what I want to do is, I think I'm going to put this rooster in an apron, kind of like this. It's going to come down and maybe come across like that, maybe with a double strap, and I think a pocket in the apron. I think he's going to need an apron for what he's doing. Okay, so I've got that rooster sketched in there. You can see him gently. But let's see. James Wade, thanks for being on the show. Fern Skelly, always love to have you on here. And let's see here. Paul, I did say Paul Lindy. Okay. All right. So I'm painting on Kilimanjaro 140-pound paper. There it is right there. Boom, 9x12. This is a block, a watercolor block, which means it's glued on 4 sides. If you paint with a lot of water, this is some stuff that you'll hear again in my class, but I'm going to go through some things rapid fire. The class for you is probably going to be take some notes and come back and then spend a little time working on it. It's not a class as much as it's a workshop. I'm getting a lot of questions from people who say, materials, by the way, I put out a material list that's quite fancy, even if my daughter does say so herself. She and I sat there and she said, I want to do this and this and this and this. And so, yeah, she's the brains behind some of that, but not, or all of that, maybe I should say. But anyway, the point is, what has happened is I have a link now so you can download that PDF. Does this mean you need my materials? Absolutely not. Does this mean you need to paint what I paint with? No, for heaven's sakes. It also means that you don't need to send me your full list because I'm happy with my list. And you don't need to see mine if you're happy with your list. So there. It's just that simple. If you love all the things that you're using right now, keep using them. If they make you a better artist, keep using them. So I'm reiterating stuff that you're going to hear on August 5th already. It's what I do all the time. I instruct as I go. It's just the way my life has been wired, from moonshine making to forging to, and something I haven't done, and I'm going to talk about here in a minute about Robert, is pouring steel or casting or a foundry. I went to my first foundry in Knoxville, Tennessee when I was about 17 years old, and my dad said, I built you he said, he helped me build it. I actually put it all together back then. And he said, we are going to build a bench so you can start working out with weights. He didn't want me to work out until I was a freshman in high school. He said, you got plenty of farm chores to do. Just carry my concrete blocks and the mud and move those around in real life, and that'll get you life strong. Farm strong is what I call it. That man is farm strong. Farmers are the strongest people I've ever met. But he wanted me to start working out, and he said, you're going to need some decent weights. And so we went to Keller Foundry in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we went in there with the big heat, and there's this place where guests could come in, and on this one concrete area, they had all this padding down, and on top of that, they had all these plates that go on barbells. Oh my gosh, and I bought 2 10s, 2 20s, 2 30s, 2 50s, and I figured it all out, and I got the bar and the locks and all that. It was just the coolest, and I could go and work out, and before I started playing ball. It was just spectacular. I loved it. I loved it. And so, all right, so I'm thinking what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build this little area that's probably a big old heavy steel table, like so. And then I think what I'm going to do is, I think over here, let's see, I need an operator, you know that, and I always love to have these areas where peeps can watch what's going on from someone else. So I think I'm getting close to. Just knock the thermos over. I bring the thermos of tea up here because this I usually sip through a cup plus in this hour. All right, so here we go. A little music, and let's paint this in. So here's what happened. Some of you know I about 2 years ago, no, even before COVID, I loaned my anvil to a camp so they could blacksmith one of my anvils. I have a couple, and so they said, you know, we'll take good care of it. Well, first of all, it's hard to tear up an anvil, so I felt a little secure in sending it. And second of all, I felt like I knew the camp director for many, many years. My boys had gone to camp there. It's up in the mountains of western North Carolina, Black Mountain actually. And so I said, okay, you can borrow my anvil, and I've got another one here, and I'm not doing a lot of forging right now because, you know, people are not going anywhere, and I don't have any young men coming over that I'm teaching to do this. And so just don't worry about it. Just I'll pass through. So I passed through a couple times. I called him one time, and he goes, man, I'm not even there. I am honestly in a foreign land somewhere. And so I said, not a big deal. I'll come and get it later. So a few weeks ago, I think I may have told some of you this, I actually went and got my anvil back. And when I went to load it, I couldn't hardly lift it. And I went, well, I haven't atrophied this much in 3 or 4 years. What is going on? And I looked at the anvil and I went, wait a minute, this is not my anvil. And he said, what? He said, this is the one I went down to the shop yesterday. I took my little four-wheeler down there in this trailer, and these guys helped me load it on. He goes, they told me this was the loaner, the only loaner they had. And I went, oh, really? And he said, well, is this one a good one? I said, yeah, it's actually a great anvil. He said, well, then you made an up trade. And I said, no, you can't do that. Somebody's going to, he said, no, trust me, you made an up trade. It's going to be good. And so I wind up with this anvil that is so heavy that I can't even hardly pick it up and put it in there. I mean, I literally got it to my thighs and lifted it in a farm lift, you know, not using my back, and put it in the back of my little SUV, and thing goes, not really, but well, yeah, if somebody was sitting back there, it did just that. Anyway, so the story is, and I'm sticking to it, I couldn't lift the thing hardly. Just in this lift, just grabbing it like this. The other anvil, I could pick it up and set it on the stump, and I didn't send the stump. And he said, "You want the stump?" And I go, "No, man, I can't put that in the back seat, you know." And so I said, "I got a stump at home. This sets on." And it's a bigger stump than my portable one that moves out. And I have this Peter Wright anvil from this just brilliant, this English anvil. And so this anvil, I didn't know it, and it didn't have the traditional poundage markers on it. Anvils have 3 numbers: hundredweights, quarter weights, and actual pounds. And it's the British mentality of 100 weight is 112 pounds. I don't want to bore you with all this, but it's crazy stuff that I've learned as I learned history over things. And so I couldn't figure out how this thing actually worked and how much it weighed. And I wanted to know, because especially since I'd put it in the car, I wanted to know for 2 reasons. One reason was I wanted to know what I lifted as an old man. And 2, I wanted to know for my shop and what kind of upgrade I had. The one I sent them was just a little bit over 100 pounds. And then suddenly I have this anvil that's just massive. And I'm going like, what in the world is this anvil? And I looked at it, and there was something very interesting about the anvil. Right in here, there's usually a hole in anvils where they're picked up to go into the hammer if they're forged anvils. This one didn't have a hole, so that told me it was a cast anvil. And then when I turned it around and looked on the front side, it had a logo, and the logo was reliefed. It was pulled out. Does that make sense? You know, it's like it was embossed. Those of you who are paper fans, it was an embossed label out on that. And so I went, oh my gosh, this is a cast anvil. But I couldn't read the logo. It's the way it was cast. And so I cleaned it all off, and I took some chalk and I chalked over it like you'd do a tombstone rubbing. And I suddenly saw it, and I turned it sideways, and Carol goes, oh my gosh, it says LMF. And I go, never heard of it. I never heard of that anvil brand. LMF, what is that? So I come back up to my studio, I open my computer, and so I, boom, pop onto my computer, and it says LMF, all these actions. And then about partway down, I come up with this logo that says this: Laurel Machine and Foundry, Laurel, Mississippi, since 1904. Look at that. Laurel Machine and Foundry Company, Laurel, Mississippi, 1904. Foundry. I'm going like, oh my gosh, they poured this anvil. So I start Googling them, and I find them, and I chase them around a little bit. And I get on the phone, and this nice young lady, I said, look, let me just tell you who I am. I am a backyard blacksmith, a watercolor guy. My grandkids call me Rude. This is more information than you need, but I'm trying to tell you all this because don't hang up on me. I've got a very important question. She says, well, sure, sir. How can we help you? And I said, I came into an anvil that is really a nice anvil, I think. I just don't know anything about it. And I love to know about the tools that I work with, right? I want to know who made them. I want to know about these bamboo brushes. I want to know that David Yasutoma came to the States in 1954 bringing art supplies like these right here that I have in my hand. I want to know that, okay? I want to know that he brought those there, and he said, the Asian artists are so good, but we should share these with the world. And that's what he did. And I've told you the story before. He shipped Asian art supplies over to our country, pens and pencils, and there's a brand new one, not even unwrapped. And I have a whole section of them up here. And so he sent these over here, and he saved the shipping crates, and then he shipped snack cakes back to Japan. And I called him immediately and said, was it moon pies? Because I lived in the South. I wanted to know if he had shipped moon pies back. I just thought that would be funny if the Japanese love moon pies. And I don't know. I got a weird sense of humor. And so, anyway, now I'm getting rid of all those little pencil marks, and the rest of this can just go. I'm just going to make up the rest of it as I go. I want to see this fit on this page. I don't paint a lot of landscape in this position, and so this is a story painting, and so it goes from there. All right. So basically what happened was they said, no, we don't know. We don't really know. We don't do anvils anymore. We quit doing anvils many, many, many years ago. That was a thing when we were at another location. And I think it was in Jackson, Tennessee at the time. They had a small location. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was where the wagon company was. So anyway, one thing led to another. And so what happened was they said, Robert will know. And I think, okay. So Robert comes on, and I said, Robert, got to go through a story here and tell you. And he goes, so Robert tells me this right off the bat. He goes, man, that's a great story, but I got to tell you, I hate to say this to you, but, blacksmiths are sort of a dying breed. And so I said, Robert, aren't we all? I mean, we're just here on this planet for a short time, man. So let's make a difference. He said, you got me there, And so we talked for a little bit. He said, how big's the anvil? I said, I got it. It's this big. It's just between, anvils have a little hole in them here. It's called the Pritchell hole. They have a little square hole called the Hardy hole. That's to hold tools. This is the horn. This is the table. This is the face. It goes on and on and on. And so what happened was there's a few here on my desk. You all know that, right? I collect anvils. And by the way, Robert didn't know about my anvil collecting. He had no idea. And so I said, it's got the table here. This is the face. This is the horn. This is the drop. What's it got between here and here? So he goes through all this stuff with me. And he says, wow, you've got an anvil that was made and da-da-da-da-da many years ago. And he said, it's a 175. And I go, excuse me? He goes, I said, oh, that settles it. I told Carol, I said, I think this thing weighs 160 pounds. So I just had a moment of pride there as an old man going like, I just lifted a 175-pound thing, just grabbed it like that. And, well, I strained and grunted a few times, but I got it in the back of my car. And then I brought the thing home and set it down on the floor, slid it across, and I love it. And I haven't even forged with it yet, but the sound of it is just brilliant. You can check an anvil by its ring, a real one anyway. These are, and sometimes you'll drop a ball bearing on it and how it bounces up is how you can tell. And that rings true means it's all in one piece, and it's just brilliant how it works. So I get Robert says it's 175, and we talked a little bit. He said, what do you use it for? So I told Robert what I was doing the anvil for, and he said, hey, give me your address, I'm going to send you something. And so that's it. That's how I got these cups. And these are really thick cups, but look at this. And I didn't put anything in it today because I want you to see the mug he sent me. Ready for this? Look at this. There it is. Laurel Machine and Foundry in Laurel, Mississippi. And I didn't pour anything in it today because I want you to see the splatter. Come on. He hit the number with me. He splattered, and he didn't even know that I splattered my artwork. And so I said, Robert, send me your address, but I didn't get it on the box that this was shipped in. And that's not all Robert sent me. Take a look at this right here. I'm going to see. And let's see if you can see this. Here it is right here. I'm going to pull this up right here. Look at this. Oh, look at this T-shirt. Got the pour on it. Look at this. Made in the USA. I love it right there. It's got Laurel Foundry on the back. That's the logo that's on the anvil right there. Is that not cool? Okay. So, but that's not all. Wait, there's more. I've always wanted to say that. Wait, there's more. I thought this box is heavy as all get out. What is in there? And down in the bottom was this. Look at this right here. Hang on. Boom. Look at this. Story's melting my heart. You're a crazy person. Look at this. And this is that logo that's protruding out. LMF right there. Laurel Machine and Foundry. This is a little cast anvil. Bronze. Is that not cool? He doesn't know either that I want to cast bronze so bad I can taste it. So one of these days. So I'm painting Robert a little painting this morning. You think, oh, paint something with an anvil and blacksmithing, but I want to paint something because he's casting and a drafting tech. And so that's kind of what I wanted to get into here. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm doing this little piece for Robert here this morning. And I'm going to send it to him for him to hang on his wall. There we go. Look at that. So I've got a little pouring pot here. And he's getting ready to pour some hot metal out. And how do I know what one of these looks like? Because I told you I hung out at foundries a little bit, And they're all beat up and banged up. And so there he is. And then what's he pouring? Well, come on. So I did a little research, and here's my research. Ready? I told you how stories connect is just amazing. In fact, I was more excited about doing this and not forgetting this for a following week. This is pretty cool. So I'm telling you, your art has the ability to connect to someone somewhere, and you're already doing it. You're doing it with cards, you're doing it with original art, you're doing it with, you're going to serve and do places, you're sending people notes. But that art is going to connect you into this world of somebody. When your art sells, it's one thing. That's kind of fun. But when it sells to somebody who says, my art sold last night to Sharon Lane, and she said, I've got to have this painting because that rooster has purple hair. And look at my hair, it's purple. I didn't even ask the story behind it. But my point was, she's connected to coffee and purple. And so I just did. So when a piece of art connects like that, I just think it's just fabulous. And so for me, I get all excited seeing how art connects and art stories connect. And it just makes my day. I'll tell you that right now. All right, so there's the peep who's always running what's he running? Oh, he's running this right here. You knew somewhere in here there had to be an overhead crane, right? I mean, after all, it's a foundry, so they've got to lift things and pull things and come in for pieces like that. So I'm going to put some big bolt heads here. Then I'm going to put a track up here like this. It runs across, and then maybe it's bolted down from the top like this. And then this is a rail, steel rail. Maybe it's built into an I-beam. And then it's got a pulley here, and it's got some gears on it. So this pulley's going to be right here, and this pulley's going to be out here, and then there's another one. And so these are little rails that run. There's a little wheel pulley. Can you see that? I'm drawing in there. Of course you can't. I'm so sorry. When I don't change my camera back. Nobody's fault but mine. Okay, so this is here like this, and here. Little eye bolt. Okay. All right, so there we go. So there's this little foundry gizmo coming together, and then this, of course, goes across this pulley, and this one goes back here. I'm just going to put a little hook in there, and then of course this goes up to the main drive. Maybe we just see the last part of this wheel coming around like this with some spokes coming down. All right, so there's part of that, and it's going up that way. So that gives you a little overhead crane system. This guy's driving it right here with all the buttons and all the little controls, and so that's what pulls this in. There's a motor over back to the back side, so this thing actually goes through here, and it's driven by another pulley right there. So you got to know a little bit about tech. Oh, I'm so techy, right? All right, so let me paint this and show you what I got here, and I'll tell you about it. Some of you can guess, what is he pouring? That would be the question this morning. I love those little animals. One of my grandsons is seriously thinking about blacksmithing. A time when they could be needed again. Well, I don't know if they'll ever be needed again, but they are needed for art. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making bottle openers or the letter opener that I had out here today, or little paperweight pieces. This is a letter opener with a rat tail file on it. See that? A rat tail end on it. This fits really nice over your fingers like this. Zip. And it also hangs on my desk here, or hangs on my pencil cup. Anyway, so this is a lot of forging to get from here to here. This is not welded on. I forged the end of this down and got it just tiny and did a little twist. They call this a rat tail file, or rat tail end. You wonder why? Looks like a rat tail, doesn't it? And this, of course, my little bottle opener. And then there's other things that I do. You know, I did 16 pokers just recently. So somebody tell me what this is right here, and if you can. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start over here and paint this in. I wet the paint down a little bit this morning, different than wetting your pants. All right, here we go. Pouring Ruse Builder's tea. Oh, that's a good answer, but not the right one. Okay. All right, so here I go. I need you know what I need? I need a paper towel. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a paper towel. Do I have it? Easy question. just a couple more right in there. Perfect. All right. Need a clean paper towel to start this project. Cleaned my desk off almost yesterday. All right, so here's a little gamboge. A little more water in there. A little too much water. I'm going to take some of that out. Go back in and just grab my little gamboge there. Come in. Leave a little holiday or two in there as I paint that. See where I'm headed with that? Boom. I'm going to come in just a little closer so you can see the whole thing. Here, let me move this up. Turn it like that. There we go. All right. So that's that, like so. While I've got this, I don't know if I can do this or not. I'm going to wait until I get here, then I'll come back and do the tail on this. Let's see. I'm going to come in here and get myself a little bit of just some different color brown, just a little touch of brown here on these legs. And then I want to do some safety yellow or orange and come in here like this on this box. This cable right here is just a black support cable that goes to the crane. This, of course, this would be a great time to have a little bit of Payne's Gray. There it is right there. So I'm going to roll this out in Payne's Gray. And that's too dark, but I'm going to lighten it up here a little bit. There it comes. Watch this. Boop. There we go. That's what I'm after. I'm after a little Payne's Gray run down here just like this. Just on this railing. And then I like it when you go into a foundry somewhere and there's a couple little, it's a rube piece, and so there's some safety rails coming in and they're a little rusty. They're up here. That yellow and that Payne's Gray came together, gave me some little ugly green that's all going in there. It look like supports. I'm going to just do this wheel in a touch of, if I could get a clean brush, I'm going to do this wheel in a touch of dirty red like so. Oh, that looks cool. And these in red like so, and these in red like so. All right. So I'm going to create this strap a little heavier right here that's coming down. It's hanging off this rail, and the piece slides underneath like that. So there's a piece here that runs along there too. So this can slide along the bottom. Okay. And then there's a little eyelet in here that grabs that. Okay, so I'm going to take this bring down and just I'm going to make it like a little bit of a heavier cable. There we go. So that's hanging right there. Love the inner workings here, supports and pulleys. Thanks, man. Watch Hometown and I'll show a couple of restores houses in Laurel. That's really cool. All right, so iron ore. No, well, he could be pouring iron ore, but no, he's pouring something else that you wouldn't think about. Okay, but I'm gonna, but we'll get there. Okay, I just want you to keep guessing, and then I'm gonna share with you the rest of the story because there is a story to this. Not only was I painting it for Robert, but it turned out that something that I was showing my granddaughter just a while back, it kind of came to fruition that I should. I had done a painting for Robert that I had started, and it was a blacksmithing rooster. And I thought, well, but he's more of a welder, he's more of a draftsman, he's more of a casting guy. And I just know that from looking him up on their site and some of his Facebook. And then I also saw something else about him that that made me stop and take note. And I'll tell you what it was. There was a piece listed on his Facebook page that said, let's see, what did it say? I wrote it down here. What did I put it when I wrote it down? It said Firefly Farmstead. And I thought, what's Firefly Farmstead? That sounds really cool. And I looked it up, and it was an organization called Johnny and Friends. And I had just met, with David's Table folks. They were in Charlotte recently. Y'all do some auctions for them. And so so I had just met with them while they were here meeting with Johnny and Friends. Johnny Erickson Tata, you know her story probably. What she's done for disabilities in the last few years has just been phenomenal. And so Firefly Farmstead is a group that has come together that supports Johnny and Friends. And so he was a part of, their family was a part of helping raise some money for that down in Mississippi. And so I thought that was just very cool. And one of the things that I saw was his daughter, you'll love this, she was pouring candles. She was pouring candles for Johnny and Friends. And so she had all these little molds laid out, and she had a little pipette, squeeze tube, and she would put it in the hot wax and then pour it in. Very meticulous, and she had it on her gloves and her apron. And I thought, man, that's cool. Like father, like daughter. And it just cracked me up a little bit. I loved it so much. And so it made me think about um, changing my painting from blacksmithing to pouring. After all, they are foundry. And so I painted something that I was going to ship last week before I left town, and I didn't get it shipped. And so then he and I connected, and I said, I need a better address for you, and I'm changing what I'm painting. And so I called him and said, hey, I'm going to paint this on the show today on Friday. And by the way, so what's coming up August 5th is a one-day workshop. I think some of you are already signed up, and you should have gotten an email already. If you've gotten an email from me already that says, here's a reminder to do this and this, or it's just going to show the supply list, you're already on my email. If you haven't gotten an email and you want to go ahead and sign up, you can do that. I'm waxing poetic, he said. Jason said. Jason should be the director of puns. I think he already is, actually. Okay. All right, so here we go now. Man, I miss my music. Where's my music? See if I can have a little music playing here. All right. For those of you who are on Ruse Crew, what is that? No, not Ruse Crew. That's your Facebook page. For those of you who are on Patreon, I will do the show Tuesday morning from on the road. I'm going to just go ahead and come on and do a painting show for you guys. And also, I'll do Good News Roo. I posted a Good News Roo this week. And just a short piece to catch up on. And I put it out on YouTube. And then 2 days later, YouTube contacted me and said, you blew it. And I said, excuse me. And they said, well, you have posted something that's not appropriate for kids under 18. And I'm going like, seriously? It's the Bible, you knuckleheads. Anyway, so trust me, I'll figure it out and then get back to you about what they're doing. So I deleted that one little video. It was only 16 minutes long anyway. So, but it did make me laugh. I must say, I went, these people are crazy. So, all right, so you can see he's wearing a face shield here, okay? So when you're wearing a face shield, you're doing something heated and dangerous, and so here we go. All right, so ready for this? All right, this is the giveaway. This music, I don't know about it. Didn't see that coming, did you? No, you didn't. Candy corn. That's it. That is insane to get. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, so I think I said something inappropriate, like probably about communion when I was painting for the Bible story. Anyway, so I'll work it out with them. And I was also posted from my phone, and so that was a different format for them to see it for the first time. They didn't see it in the class contact. Well, they should have if they had done their homework. But I'll duke it out with them, or it'll be a great story to say that as much garbage as you can put on YouTube. Here's this guy trying to put the Bible on there, but welcome to the world we live in, people. So it's okay. I'm not going to complain, and I'm not complaining. I just said it caught me off guard a little bit. And I went, oh my gosh, it's funny. So I laughed about it, had a good laugh with my dear pastor friend who was at my house the other night and said, guess what, man? I just got censored by YouTube for posting a painting I did of a loaf of bread. And talking about the bread of life. So you got to love that, huh? You do. You really have to kind of go, this world is nuts. So if there ever was a time to connect to people and enjoy people, it's now, people. That's a lot of peoples, isn't it? You know, I got to put some turquoise in there just because that's who I am. I always put that in there for Carol. It's her favorite color. A little touch of green in this tail. And I want to come in with some of that really cad orange. Just drop a little piece of that in there. I was going to put an apron on this rooster, but I've decided not to. I think, what the heck, it's not about safety. Safety third. Okay? This is about getting this done for an organization. Now, here's what I want to think. So, Robert, if you see this, I hope you do. If you see this, what I want you to do is send me a note, because I would like to paint a painting for Firefly Farmstead next year to send to... I'd like to send a painting to you guys to sell for Johnny and Friends, okay? Because I certainly have done that for my friends at David's Table, and so some of my friends here. So if you want me to do that, let me know, and I'll come in and do that. I won't come in and do it, but I do want to get down there someday and see the place. But here's my painting coming together, and you know I haven't gotten all the splatters in yet, so I got to do that. So got to mix a little color here in my palette. Here's my palette this morning. It's what I'm painting out of. Still painting out of cast iron. This is a Lodge 5-inch pan. So I set up my small palettes today to head out of town. I'm going to do a little painting while I'm out of town. Of course I am. Got to. And so didn't even put any shoe protectors on or a shield. Just got a little face shield on up there. And I want to come in with a little bit of this and just put in a little bit of cross hatching right here. Is that my hair that keeps getting stuck in the painting? Who would have thought that? Okay, so go to my website at roodoodles.com. There's all kinds of information there about the workshop coming up. I'm calling it a workshop. And it's just a one-day deal. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm sampling this out to see if it's something that I can do, because it allows me to just run rampant here and there and yon and get people quick information that they need. And that's really important for you guys to have some of that. And some of it I've plowed through, like, why do you use this paint over that paint? Why do you use that brush? And why is that brush? Why are you willing to pay money for that brush? And why are you willing to, why do you always say, don't just buy that pack of brushes from Michael's because they're on sale for $1.59? I can tell you why. Because if you want your art to ever improve, pick up better tools and find out, what style you're using. And you may need a brush that flares out crazily, and you may not. It's up to you. But I want you to know, see, I do want this rooster to look I don't want him to look too pristine. I want him to look like he's got some, he's a working rooster. He's in the shop. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab some of this Payne's Gray with a little brush, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to do a little bit of Laurel machine splatter. See that right there? There's a lot of just metal splatter around, just like this, in the whole place. I mean, why not? Because it's a foundry. I think that's a little more than I needed up there, so I don't know what I'm going to do with all that. So I got it up there, now I got to deal with it. That was a mistake. Yeah, let's just call it what it is. So now we make it look like it wasn't one. So we just add a little to it. That just fell right off my brush. So we'll just do a little warehouse push up there near the edge. And then down here on this too. I'd already put some here, so see, I can get by with it. There it is. Maybe come in there with a little bit like this, and behind there. Yeah, it's going to work just fine. I got to come in and do some down here anyway. So we'll bring some of those splatters right down into this. That's going to be good. All right. There's a little messy picture. Now I'm going to grab some of this gambos and splatter it right in there on my pouring pot. Because that baby is steaming. Okay, so how do we get some steam out of that? We get it just like this. I'm going to pull that up a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of French gray and just create a little bit of swirl up through there like that, just like that. Look at my brush. It just looks like it's got the weeble wobbles, and so there it comes out of there just like that. So that pot is hot. This metal is really heated to super heated, over 2,800 degrees, maybe 6,000 degrees. No, probably more like 3. I can forge weld at 2,200 degrees. The metals, soft metals become, and of course brass is cast much less than that. But I sound like I know what I'm talking about. But one of these days, my goal is to cast a little brass. So, okay, wear your YouTube censor badge with honor. Yeah, I wonder what happened to that YouTube too. So I pulled it down. I'll clean it up and we'll do it again. And I'll show you what I painted next week as we come to it. So anyway, so I wanted to mention that. But go to my website and tune in to the workshop. There's a little link on there that says workshop. Find that and you'll go from there. So, all right. So this is why would I pour candy corn? Here we go. Look at this. Here's the rest of the connection. Okay, I'll do some stuff to finish this. When it's a little drier, I'll come in with an 07 pen, needle tip. One that's already been used. No. Wow, I've got 2 new ones there. Who would have known? What? Wow, look at that guy go. New pens. There we go. This pen will put the toenails in right there, just like that. Put that toenail in right there. Get out of here. Okay, get these toenails in right here. Stop it already. Okay, so my computer's doing funny things this morning, and I'm not laughing about them. That kind of funny. One of these days, I'm going to show up, and you're going to go, where did he go? And you're going to know I'm out selling. I'm going to be with Jason selling lemonade in the corner to buy a new Mac. My Mac is going to just up and die. And so it's older than Noah used it when he was checking the animals in. All right. So let's see. I want to just put a little bit of rust on these. Where's my little brush? There it is. I want to put a little bit of rust on these molds just because, they've had a little bit of spray down the side. Just kind of right in there like this. I don't want everything to look so new. I mean, if you've ever been to a metal shop, yeah. One, it's not safe to hang out, but it can be a messy place. All right. All right, let me show you where this idea originated from. Well, it didn't originate from me. But by the way, this Laurel Foundry was a Lindsay wagon company in 1899. And so Lindsay was, I think it was either in Jackson or Laurel, Mississippi. They created a wagon that loggers could use. And it had 8 wheels, and they were wider than the normal wagon wheels, which, wagon wheels were steel. And there were 4 points, and you'd load that wagon down, and it would just sink into the mud. And so they figured if you did more wheels wider, you'd get less PSI on the mud, and hook a team of horses to it. And I was fascinated by that because I pulled several logs out of the woods when I was in my 20s with a matched pair of Percheron horses called Maud and Pearl. And we were driving the Peavies down in, the Go Devils, and driving them in and pulling them out with the chains and trying to keep them from rolling. And one day rode one out for a ways. I'm telling you, it was like living in the 1800s. So then it sold to, I'm thinking of the history I read, Malloy family. I think the Malloy family owns it now. If you want to go and see one of their videos and just what they do, I mean, they've done things for the Navy, and I love it. They have CNC machines now that cut computerized things. One of my friends here in Charlotte, near Charlotte, has a CNC machine. And then a water jet machine that cuts through steel. But they do surface plates for battleships. I mean, 3-inch steel. I have a piece of steel out there this thick and it's big around. And one day I was over there doing this was 12 years ago. And I said, I need that piece of steel. And he said, it's yours if you can pick it up like this and bring it out of the recycle bin. And I went, okay. So I reached in there and I went, okay, here we go. And I grabbed that thing and I lifted it up and they all went, oh. And I brought it over and I set it on the road and I went, yes. And then all the way home, I'm going like, Carol, I think I hurt my hand. But all right, so there it is. But let me share you this story. Here we go. This was in Grit of June 2016, May, June 2016. And here's what happened. They sent me a note and said, hey, this is when Hank was still the editing manager, and Hank used to write a piece on the back page here from Hank. Hank, I still follow Hank at Prairie Turnip Farm, Prairie Turnip Farm. Just genius of an individual in farming and school, and has more degrees than most people. But they wanted me to do a piece, or they asked me if I could do a piece. They sent me my 4 or 5 things, and I just chose barn quilts. And if you don't know what a barn quilt is, it's the symbols that are on barn. It started in Germany and Austria, a European thing that came here and then went through the Pennsylvania mountains and then in the mountains of Ohio, and people settled in the Appalachians. They would paint them on there. Sometimes it was just like a sign to say, hey, that's the family's. It left from the crest to this. Some say they were hex signs for scared off evil. Well, get a grip. Okay. But these people worked on this. Some were the actual names of quilts, like, the Drunkard's Path and the Morning Star and the Lone Star and the Log Cabin, and then it got to be. So it's very interesting. Now, this is an old magazine, but if you want to do a little search on that. So they asked, I said, okay, I've chosen barn quilts. And they went, okay, that'll be good. But they didn't give me a whole page back then. They gave me a partial page. But I want to show you what I painted, and then I want to read it to you, and you'll know where I was headed today, and that I tied these histories in from the 1800s. Ready for this? Here's my painting from back then. There it is right there. Can you see that? Okay, so there's the Roo. He's standing around. There's this old barn in the background. I used to do a full page scene for them when I first started. So I'd probably been painting for maybe 5 or 6 issues, 4 issues, and then I painted this. She's standing there like, what the heck? And he's got all his paintbrushes here. There's a ladder up here, and you can see there's 4 pieces of candy corn on the barn. And he says, ready for this? I call it the Barnacopia. In the 1880s, candy corn was called, ready for what it was called? Chicken feed. It was. And with the tagline on the box, it had a tagline on the box, and it was made by a guy who had a store. It was made in Pennsylvania, and I don't remember his name now. It started with an M also, but the point was, he made this little snack for the kids who would come to the stores with their farmers. And so you get a handful of this for, just almost nothing. And they called it chicken feed, which it looked like corn, chicken feed. But the tagline on the little box that came in said, something worth crowing about. So I might so here's what he says. He says, there was a rooster. So I might look like an avant-garde bohemian nonconformist, but in one fell swoop, I have captured our historical habitat and present dependence on the farm and the future of the artistic brilliance. Scratch that down in the dirt. What do you mean, does the barn need a quilt? So why would you put a quilt on a barn was her question. And he said, I call it Barnacopia. And so there it is. That was one of my early paintings in Grit. And so today, when I thought about doing these paintings for Robert at the Foundry, I decided to just pour some candy corn because his daughter was pouring candles in a mold for Firefly Farmstead. Now you know the rest of the story. It took me almost an hour to tell that and paint this. But hey, let's pull these off and see what it looks like. Can we do that? And then I'll sign it, finish it, and there it comes off just perfectly. I love it when it does that. This one is going to come off next right here. Just remember how you put them on. That'll save your paper. Also, this one comes off next right here. And everybody wonders, why don't you do this on all your paintings? And because I just don't. Sometimes I'm just painting on a small piece of paper, and I just let it run to the edge, put it in a shadow box or frame it that way, and right in the trash can on that throw across the room. So there's my foundry painting this morning. It goes to the forge people, or the foundry people, for this little anvil and for all the knick-knack paddywhacks in my shirt. I love it very much. Thank you, guys. But hey, there's people out there doing great work, hot work, needed work. I mean, when you build a gun for a Navy ship and you're actually to help them with a magnetic gun that shoots these 4-foot shells a mile, come on, big time. All right, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it right there. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Love how all the pieces join together. And Jason, so y'all know, what I did on this was I didn't know how they would join together. Let's see if I have it up here. I actually took a piece of small scratch paper and I scratched out something that looks a little different. I had 2 pieces hanging up here. I thought it crowded it. I still had a little peep up here. I decided to put this up here. I had him in an apron. I didn't finish this. So that gives you how I roughed this out when I made my tea this morning. So this was a 5-minute rough out. And by the way, what I wrote down was this: chicken feed, I wrote down, pouring molds. I wrote down white, orange, and yellow because I forget which goes, but I love it. It's one of my favorite. And it's the Wonderler family. Candy Corporation still makes candy corn today. So there it is. So there's your overhead crane lifting them out, maybe painting them. If I had another bigger piece, I'd put in a spray bay where they were painting the candy corn. And then I'd put in another little peep down here that says, what? You can't eat it? Well, what good is it? And I might do that anyway. So you might see this have a little peep in here that says, what do you mean you can't eat it? Well, then what good is it? In fact, I think that's really pretty good. And maybe he's over here outside this framework. Done. I'm going to do it right now. Whew, I love it. All right. So, hey, I'm out tomorrow, but if you go to roodoodles.com, you're going to see the information on the workshop. I'm going to paint Tuesday, Lord willing. I don't know if I can make it Monday where I am. So if not, I'll just come on and show you where I am and maybe do a little sketchy. Put your creative tools, at least 2 or 3 of them. A small palette if you've got one. If you don't, put one together. I have restocked mine because I'm getting ready to go on this trip. So I've restocked my little palettes. There's my Altoid palette, and there's my little brass one that I carried. 2 different bags just in case. They're kind of replicas of each other because my style requires what I just did. And so those are the colors that I'm going to always choose. If you choose more pastel, if you choose this, I will tell you this: if you've never watercolor painted, this would be a good workshop for you. If you've painted 10 years, it'll be a good workshop because I've been painting 12 years or so, and I still learn things every day. And now I've gotten better at making notes of them and writing them down. So go look. There's on the page when you sign up, there's a little description of what I'm going to be talking about. But there's lots of places for questions. If you've got a question that you want to send me, you could address it to Roodoodles right now, but I'd rather you wait till the week before. Write it down on something right now, and then as you go through this workshop, write down the questions, and then maybe during lunch, just bombard me with some, and I'll pick some out. But over the next few weeks, I'll get to all those questions for those of you who are on the class. Okay? All right. And then the class will be up for 6 months for sure on its page, and it'll be there. So if you miss it on the 5th, but you want to get to it, the feed covers that. You can go back and stop and see what did he do there, what did he say there, or why does that not agree with every other art teacher that told me to never do that? I may say never once or twice, but I don't really mean it. And here's what I mean by that. People say, "Oh, you have to have it." Don't ever do that. And you're like, you can do whatever you want. You can cover this with a spray paint on it if you want. It's your art. So why stop people if they're feeling creative? You should not. So that's going to be in the workshop, and we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about Facebook. I'm going to talk about YouTube. I'm going to talk about selling art some. And so hopefully I want you to have a notebook and a pen, and not because I'm so smart, people, but because I'm giving you the knowledge that I have used to kind of create a little bit of an art world that connects me to people. And so that's just how it happens and how it goes. And so I've got some crazy projects that I want to do in the future. So Lord willing, I'll be on this planet long enough to do it. I appreciate you all. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Here's the painting again for today. And I don't even think I'm going to name it, other than I'm just going to draw a little peep right here. And he's looking around the corner, and maybe he's got on little welding glasses or something, and he's going like, "Are you kidding me? All that work and you can't eat it?"